back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're new around here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Welcome to all the new people. You're all legends in my book. And today what we're doing is we're going to recap that trade period that was. We're going to have a look a little bit at like the lists and what they're going to do. And we're just going to get straight into it. So make sure you hit the like. Let's hit the algorithm. We obviously have done because you're here. So welcome. And at the time of recording, it's 4:36 on the 17th of the 10th month, 2024. So if you are watching this in the future, all right, I hope we're still here. And this is the list as of now. So I don't want any comments in 2 weeks going, but this player's been delisted. So let's get straight into it. So Adelaide will start with... And here we are. So what we've done is we've readjusted these player values to if there has been a compensation pick. And then we've had a little bit of a play around as well with a little algorithm for you to look at the base price based on the last 2 years worth of trades. So that's going to be quite interesting. So you can see that incoming for the Adelaide Crows, James Peatling, Isaac Cumming, Alex Neil Bullen, a future third from the Melbourne Demons, a future third from GWS, and a future fourth from GWS. Worth no points next year, so the blue numbers are their points allocation for next year, meaning they got 2,148 points in, and leaving them was Elliot Himmelberg, 28.46, and a future second. Adelaide's list at the moment looking in quite a healthy spot, we must say. They've got pick 4, 64, Tyler Welsh to come in as well. 3 list spots at this stage. One of them, incidentally, on the senior spot. So there will be probably a little bit of manoeuvre around there. Very interesting. Sorry, I tell a lie. They've got a couple of list spots. So they've got 3 list spots in total. 2 picks. Makes sense that they'll do some kind of adjustments with that. So... real healthy spot for Adelaide to be in. Some really good signings as well. Neil Bullen, Cumming and Peatling. Really, really good, solid players. All best 22 players. Particularly Peatling I really do like as just that auxiliary there. Isaac Cumming I'm a big fan on the win. And they haven't really lost anything either. And with Tyler Welsh coming in, that is quite exciting for them. But a real solid little spot there for everyone to look at. And Adelaide, I think, have had a good trade period, to be honest. Haven't really lost anything, only gained. So that's a real solid spot. So a 311 point swing in the positive for them. Real good effort for them. On to the Brisbane Lions that we go to now. And they were very active, obviously accruing the points for Mr. Sam Marshall and Levi Ashcroft. Still 3 list decisions to go to. They're currently at 40. So 4 list spots at the moment to play with, dependent on what happens to them. So that's really interesting because they've got a plethora of picks. They have currently got 7 picks at the moment. So obviously we expect Pryor, Beacon and Craven, I wouldn't say to be delisted, but probably them dodgy delistings that will come back to you when we have time. But you can see 2,520 of points, only losing Harry Sharp. A lot of their trades as well were them funky trades as well, just back-ending them deals. On traded was pick 32 and pick 45. That's not shown on there. Obviously, the reason we're not showing them on there is they were used in other deals, so you can't really count them as collateral at the start. It's a little bit like having change from going to Coles and then counting the change as extra than what you originally started with. If you had $20 and you got $7 change, and then you go and spend $5, you haven't spent $25. You've still got the original 20, and it's shrapnel. Winning this by 1,086, and Brisbane again showing why in my opinion, with all due respect, I feel like it's flawed. I do feel like this point system is flawed in the avenue that they can do that and gain 2 great players and do that. But a real solid, like, Brisbane know the rules and they have absolutely nailed this. So supreme work by them. Supreme work by Brisbane. They'll be really happy with their trade period. Harry Sharp, is he a loss? I don't think so, because I think, obviously, you know, you've got players coming in. You've got Ashcroft coming in and Sammy Marshall. So that's a huge horizontal upgrade. Real good trade by them, though. Like, honestly, supreme masters of it. My blue boys then coming in. Nick Haynes, pick 3, 38, 63, 68. A future second, 3,012 points. Losing Matty Kennedy, Matty Owens, 12, 34, 66. A future first and their future second. Meaning that they lost this trade for 465. It is worth noting that historically you pay a 10 to 20% premium for a top 3 pick. So this kind of works out. A very good trade period from Carlton, particularly when you look at the list squeeze that they've got. Currently, Carlton now are going into this period of the draft with 5 list spots to play with. Jack Carroll, you'd imagine, probably gets delisted because if Kennedy was ahead of him, certainly Matt Kennedy was ahead of Jack Carroll. That means that pick 3 will definitely be ahead of him. And if Matt Carroll was surplus to requirements with Sam Docherty to fit back into this team and Matt Cottrell, that means a bits and pieces player like Jack Carroll who can play inside and out and not really fulfilled his role, he'll be gone. You'd imagine Sam Durden goes as well now. Carlton have retained Lewis Young and Brodie Kemp. So you'd imagine that Carlton will probably take pick 3, chance pick 38, Ben Camporelli, Lucas, and rookie, another no-name player, or they could not even take pick 38 in this draft, and rookie Lucas and rookie someone else, and take up a delisted free agent. It's going to be really interesting at this point in the circle for the Blues, but the Blues have a real strong trade period, getting right into the major guts of their talent, losing Matt Kennedy and putting a lot of faith in Zach Williams, Corey Durden with Matty Owens. And I think Matt Owens, we don't value him very high on this system. That's even less if you actually take into account the pick 3 trade. Fascinating, that pick 3 trade. Very much the trade of the deal. But the Blues do have a loss here, but I think this is, again, one of them reflective losses. And what I mean by that, you've got to see what's come in and what's gone out. Do Carlton miss Matt Kennedy and Matt Owens? When if you effectively change that to Docherty and a full fit Zach Williams, and the fact that they've addressed their midfield concern and getting a big point of difference in with pick 3, you'd say that this is a huge net win for the Blues. So, real interesting trade period. That's, again, one of them objective things. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure some people are going to be upset with it, and I'm sure some people are going to be happy with it, but that is the nature of the beast. The Magpies, then, spending 3,272 coming in. Dan Houston, Harry Perryman, and pick 58, and losing Noble, Joe Richards, a future first, and pick 36, meaning they won by 803. Collingwood delisting players this morning, meaning they've got 5 list spots available. You expect most of them players to be retained, with them only having 3 list spots. You'd imagine Adam Tomlinson comes into there, so that makes that top one look even more healthy. Again, probably still the issue just with their age profile. They've kept the door open. We said it all along. We were one of the few people who was team not Dan Houston. However, it has to be said that it's very important. And like Carlton, they didn't have that issue. Like Carlton had 14 and it was on-traded from Hawthorn to Richmond. So we didn't count that. Collingwood just did this as a flat tack trade. So these are really interesting. I think that's a huge improvement there. I think Perryman is more of a need than Richards is. Future first, it's nothing because they've got McGuan, 36. A real healthy list. If this list stays healthy, Dan Houston being such a need for them based on last year's defensive half, I think this is a huge one. So Carlton, like Collingwood, have addressed their immediate concerns. Carlton have done it a little bit different way. They've kind of protected their future and not gone so bold. Collingwood have bit the bullet. This is going to be one of them ones that we will judge both their trade periods in 12, 24, 36 months' time. But on paper, an absolute stellar trade period. And Lepic has taken up from the mantle of right, gone bold, gone aggressive. I like these deals as well. No one's talking about Harry Perryman. He's only 25 years old. So you want to keep that list at that healthy 25 years old. And their list is only just about to turn 26 at the start as a core nucleus. So it is worth saying it's Dad's army. It's not, though. So, do you know what I mean? It's not in the grand scheme of things. Their best 22 may be kind of Dad's army, but it's not. Essendon Football Club then up next with a staggering 7 list spots. 8 list spots. Get that right, 36, take away 44 is 8. Which makes sense because they've miraculously got 7 picks on their list. They're definitely going to be looking at delisted free agency. They've definitely planned that Keiko is going to go early. I'd imagine that Jaden Newen finds a way on the list as well in their draft. But trading 3,639 points in and only losing 1,770 is an absolute behemoth of a result for them. And they've done it in a very funny way as well. This is actually really, really good trading. They've also protected next year's future, which is a very smart ploy by them as well. They've got a future pick in. Melbourne are a real watch this space as well, a real lottery pick that you've traded out your future third effectively and turned that into a first. And Melbourne could be anything. Really, really, really bullish by Essendon. And Essendon usually are the trade period winners, aren't they, in this? People usually say that they've won the trade period. No one's giving them any kudos. This is an absolute brilliant trade period from them. They've protected it to next year. They get Keiko in, and there's a few things that they can do. Very impressive by Essendon. Done very well, in my opinion. Fremantle Football Club bringing in Shai Bolton, a massive POD, pick 14 and a future third, costing them nearly 1,000's worth of points. Now, I want to caveat this, that I actually think the value of this guy, if he goes to his potential, could be that. And that means that they've won the trade period. So this is just based on what we know. 10, 11 and 18 might be a lot to pay to get 14 back, but it really works out at 10 for 15, doesn't it, really, that they've paid for it. I'm intrigued by this because I think Shai Bolton is going to fly. I really do. I really think this could be the recruitment of the year. So although on points value it looks like they've overpaid, this is, again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So this is just a median ranking for him, right? And Fremantle have got 4 list spots to use, right? So it's just a median ranking. We've got him valued at like peak 12, but these values are the difference. So that could be like two late seconds or something like that, with a third coming back. 2 late first with a second coming back or a third coming back. Always going to be interesting because that's roughly what happened to first and a first coming back. So about the value. Very interesting, this one, I think. I really do think that this one is super, super interesting, because if you just do it based on the value alone of that, that is literally what? That plus that plus that minus that. That means his value is 2,500, and they've actually won the trade by that. So if it is based on its retail value, which that would be, they've actually won this deal. So that's really fascinating, I think, in just this little avenue here, and something to really watch this space. But I do like Fremantle's trade period because they go into the draft at this stage with a little bit of work to do, haven't they? They've got a little bit of work to do. They've got pick 14, 30 and 67. Could be really interesting what they do. Will they be targeting someone like Job Shanahan? Will they be targeting someone like Toby Travellella? Will they be targeting someone like Bo Allen? A lot of questions. I could see Joe Berry coming in this like little scenario. I could see Job Shanahan coming in. Could be really interesting what they do with that pick 14. Really watch this space, because I think the obvious one is Bo Allen, but I've got a feeling that the Eagles will trade down with pick. Will try and trade into there with something. I've just got a sneaky feeling. I could even see him going at pick 12 to them, but I just reckon Fremantle are going to be up to something here. I reckon Fremantle will go bold. Job Shanahan is a watch this space for me. Massive upgrade. And I reckon they'll be creative. I reckon they'll do really well. Geelong Football Club then. 45 Bailey Smith, 1572. And 17 and 38, 1490. 82-point win. Geelong do it again. I'm tired of talking about Geelong, I'm going to be totally honest, because they just seem to be able to do this every year. 45, 57 and 75. They've got 7 list spots to fill, though. So this is going to be a lot of second chance players. A lot of people in that concessionary draft. They're probably going to be using all 3 of their picks, which takes them up to 40. We're going to see some second chance players. This is a real watch this space with Geelong. Bailey Smith, if he can get going there, and that's a protected rating as well because he had a year out, it could be a real speculative one. The midfield time there could separate him. I would say, in my heart of hearts, that value could be a bit lower. I think he's a bit of a risk, but Geelong do have a nasty habit of getting it right 9 times out of 10. So definitely a watch this space. Gold Coast then 37 list spots, currently 7 to use, only Sexton to decide on, and they got staggering 5,217. But again, losing out on points, and this is the difference between Brisbane and Essendon, who have really overinflate their values and get good deals. Richmond did it as well this year as well. A bit to learn still at the trade table for Gold Coast, in my opinion. Bringing in Elliot Himmelberg, that could be anything. Dan Rioli, John Noble, excellent signings and definitely required need, and they could be. Jack Lacocious for me is a really interesting one because I think that could be an even bigger loss. Atkins is just a sidewinder. And obviously, though, they get Leo Lombardo in this, which makes them ins a little bit better as well. So they probably do win it with Lombardo. But, again, they've got the points. They've got ready-made talent here. They've done what they've needed to do. These two players particularly suit Dimmer's game style. So even though it's a loss on points, again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as I always say. And it's going to be one of them waits and sees for me. GWS, then. A very peculiar trade from them. So they did get Perryman and that. And you'll see here that Perryman and Cummins are the same value because that's what we've got to value them at. Jake Stringer coming in, which could be a real shrewd move. It could make this better. They did get a future second in from Adelaide, which is, again, a risk-reward type trade. They didn't really use too much in the futures for that. They got a massive win there. It's mainly the outs because of the values of here are quite a bit of a loss for them. But when you look at the picks that GWS got, I'm going to say that GWS have won this trade period quite a bit for them, because GWS are going to go into this needing 6 list spots to fill, and they've got 3 of them in 15, 16 and 21 in real peak positions to really do some damage. Logan Smith, the rookie, is one to watch there as well. The young NGA ruckman there who can go forward. I reckon they replace all these. Haynes isn't really much of a loss. I think Peatling's not a massive loss for them as well. I think they can definitely replace them straight away because their backline is pretty coup de grace at the minute. And then these two here, they've still got a lot of talent in their books. So GWS will be all right. They're going to be a really interesting one to watch. But I think they've done pretty well this trade period, to be honest. Hawthorn bringing in a staggering 4,008 value and trading pretty much staying the same in there. You'd imagine these two sides are going to be very similar. Barras and Battle, huge upgrades on what they've already got. I love Sam Frost, but Barras and Battle are huge, allowing Sicily to be a little bit exciting. They've got 4 people out of contract, 4 decisions. I suspect 3 of the 4 will be delisted, giving them 3 spots, and potentially being rookied again. 33 will definitely be used in this draft, though. It's going to be interesting because I think they've recruited really well. They've got infinitely better. They've done very well at the trade table, per se, as well. They've got 2 players that are hard to find. I think Barras is worth more than that. It's just his injuries that knock him back. This is a real interesting watch this space, and I think Hawthorn have done really well. Melbourne are a real intriguing one because they've got kind of fleeced this trade window, and it's interesting. They've got 5 spots to lose. They've got 5 and 9 on their books. This is a real fascinating one for me of what they've done, because I think Neil Bullen is an understated loss. I really do. I think when you look at what they've done is they on-traded 28, 46 and a future third that they brought in, which again, it hasn't really reflected. As you can see, that's why we don't count it, because it doesn't really reflect on your ins. It's an interesting one because 9's a huge improvement. This is all going to be about what that pick is. And if that's like, say, Harry Armstrong and Murphy Reed or Josh Smiley, it's a win. It's a win. I do think that Neil Bullen, though, is a big loss. And Melbourne might disagree with me. Melbourne fans, let me know what you think. But Harry Sharp could be anything. I do like him. Tom Campbell's a good depth option if anything goes wrong. And 9 is probably the poster in the piece there. But I just think it's an intriguing one, that, for me. It's an intriguing one for me. That's one of them wait and sees for me. North Melbourne up next, and they're going to be a fascinating one to talk about. 262 they've got at the moment, and River Stevens to come. 37 on the senior list, 6 on the rookie A, 43, 1 list spot. Charlie Lazaro, Cooper Harvey, and Blake Drury to look at. Let's have a look what they did. Constanti comes in. I really like that. That's probably better than a draft pick at 44 for them. Jack Darling, massive standard setter. Luke Parker and Caleb Daniel bring in that experience and that dire need and a bit of senior experience. So straight away, their young bucks are going to be learning off 3 very, very talented and hard-working and industrious footballers. Constanti, I'm a huge fan of. And I think that that's a shrewd little recruitment there. I think pick 2, they're going to trade that down. So I think that'll make it. I would expect it's not going to be traded too much because, remember, they've only got 1 list spot at this moment with a potential of 4 being max. It's going to be interesting what North do. I'm really excited about seeing what it is. Quite bullish on North's list as well. And I think their trade period, even though it's showing as a net loss, I actually think that these are probably 30% more. And if we play that game, if we play the POM game, and we just say that they're worth 30% more, right, to them, and you do that, see, look, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's about a 200-point swing. I like this. I think this is a real standard setter. The thoughts of Harry Sheasel working alongside this guy really excites me. The thoughts of Kobe McKercher really learning off this guy. Zach Fisher learning off this guy really does excite me to the nth degree. Riley Hardeman particularly working off him being a bit of a bigger version of him. I think he's going to really add something. That Zach Fisher and Caleb Daniel are going to be a real sexy foil off halfback. And Jack Darling working with Nick Larkey, he's going to be teaching him the dark arts. And then they've got a few young bucks there. And also what that makes the defenders, Charlie Comden and stuff like that down the back, makes them better. I expect that they do trade 2 down, though, into 2 decent picks. If that's 6 and 10, if that's something else, it could be really fascinating. I think that benefits both sides. But then they'll have Alex Tyroo in, which is, again, another great example. I'm really excited, quite bullish about what North Melbourne have done. Good little trade period from them. Port Adelaide are ones, for me, that I just find balmy because I think Port Adelaide's trade period is actually better than what the stats are saying. And the reason that I'll say that is they've currently got 2 list spots. They've got a plethora of players to decide, though. They've got 6. They've got 4 picks, so a good indication is 2 out of 6 get delisted there. But Jack Lacocia's coming in. I think that this could be even more. I think if he reaches his pomp and circumstance, that's that. Which, again, look, is a massive win. It means they've won that by 900. Dan Houston is the big one. I think that that's got a quicker fall. I reckon that's more likely to fall off and that rise than anything else. Atkins and Joe Richards. Joe Richards is a wait and see for me because I really do rate him. Atkins is just like that placeholder. But why I'm going to say they did very well is that should be more. I think in real money, I would say that looks like that. And the reason I say that is they came into this trade period with their best pick being 39. They've now got 3 picks better than that. They're in a real hotbed of where they are as well. A real hotbed of where they are. I think they can get some real serious talent in here, particularly being an interstate club if they want to double up as well from the same situation. When you look at the draft class this year, around them picks as well, it makes that interesting little proposition that you could maybe double up on players like Bendigo Pioneers boys and get Trevor Layer and Job Shanahan in, which would be a very intriguing thing there. You could maybe go key back as well there. There's a lot of options for Port, so I really like what Port have done. It's an interesting one, though, because it's one of them ones that I think is really subjective, and if you are a Port fan, you're probably disappointed, but I think there's a lot of work to be done that you could do. Up next, Richmond, who were the big movers and shakers in this trade, winning the trade period by 1,654, losing Bolton, Baker, Graham and Rioli, which is just the nature of the beast, losing a heap of shit picks, and look what they brought in. This is a franchise draft type thing. I'm very bullish on what they've got to do. They've got six list spots, and they've got 5 players to get rid of. They've currently got 8 picks, so I reckon that you might see 2 players leave on that list. But I could see here a few of them players stay. Cam McIntosh, maybe Cumberland gets another go. Thompson Dow, maybe Matt Coulthard, who did show some things in patches. I could see them trading here to get pick 2. 6 and 10 maybe would go for that, which would be a little bit overs, but I could see them going 6 and 11, 6 and 18, going into 2, getting 2 Jets in, which would then instantly replace. You could get a Layla, you could get Finn O'Sullivan, you could get Jagger Smith, which should be one of them options. That's a huge upgrade on what you've lost there. I think long term for them, Richmond can't mess this up, but they have given themselves the best possible chance for this rebuild to be as short as possible and bring in the talent. So well done, Richmond. A real good trade period from them. Skilled are up next. St Kilda winning the trade period as often by source, just by a lateral trade. There's 2 players here I want to talk about that I'm really bullish on there, because they're going into the draft with 4 spots available. Hayes, Membry looked to leave. Patton and Houghton are going to be a wait and see, but I expect Houghton signs on and Patton. So they probably have 6 list spots. It's going to be interesting what they do. But 7, 8, 32 and 47 with Adrian Cole to come as well, a key position defender who I'm very bullish on. I really like this trade period because Battle's a big loss, but I think they can replace it. McRae, though, reminds me very much of Tom Mitchell going to Collingwood when they won the flag. I think it's an immediate answer to what they probably lack in their midfield. So I'm really bullish on this. And if they can get 7 and 8 right, which they should do, right? They should do. It could be a real bullish little passage for them. They could end up with a Taru or a Luke Trainer, who I could see. That's a huge upgrade, I think, on Josh Battle long term. Should he be right, Luke Trainer? I'm quite bullish on this. Like Alex Tyru, if he came in, that's a real exciting little acquisition. And then they've been heavily into Lalore. Do they go like a lateral there with 7 and 8, and do they look at going somewhere else? 7 and 8 also could be a punt for pick 2, which I think may be accepted. So that could be a real exciting thing. But this will be a real interesting one, because is it Murphy Reid, who I think maybe might be a bit samey? He is very good, though. He can slot across the forward, but he's got incredible IQ, so he's the kind of player that Ross, the boss, would like. Is it also something that they take a punt with 27 and they go Cooper Hines, who is like a Harvey Langford with a bit of speed? Real interesting what they do. Really bullish on them. Sydney, they got rid of 2... Well, a player we've never seen in Constanti and Luke Parker, but their list spot is an intriguing position. They've got 38 spots at the moment. They've got nothing else to worry about at this stage, which is always interesting. 19 and 22, Joel Cochrane, a key defender option from their academy. Some real good, healthy picks here. They've got 6 list spots to fill. They'll probably do some delisted free agency in this. They'll probably get a bit creative on rookies. Real watch this space. I suspect they'll take 19 and 22 in the draft. Rookie Joel Cochrane, go another way and rookie in the draft, because they've got a plethora of rookie A spots. But a real intriguing one for me. Really watch this space with Sydney. I like their trade period. I mean, they do what they do already. They've probably planned this 10 years in advance. So a real interesting one for us to digest as we move forward. And I'm excited about what the future may hold for them. I really am excited about what they could get up to and how this may look moving forward for me, moving forward for them. Up next, West Coast Eagles. And this is a weird one, because they did laterally win the trade by 374, right? I do think Tom Barras is probably worth more to them. I think they probably... I didn't like them going futures next year. I think this is the draft I would have attacked quite hard. Is interesting, though, that they've only got 2 list spots at the moment, with Luke Edwards, who looks... He'd probably go Witherden, Rotherham, Burgell and Cully to re-sign to 2 list spots. Malachi Champion comes in. Working with Matty Owies is quite an exciting thing, because one thing I'll give Matty Owies is if there was ever an AFL average, Matty Owies is it. Jack Graham comes in, who could be a real good acquisition for them. Liam Baker, good point of difference for them, something they haven't got. And then they've got 12. It's going to be really interesting what the Eagles do. I feel like the Eagles could have probably got more for it, and I am genuinely disappointed. But now they've got to get creative, because next year they have a load of futures. They've protected that. They've got them that extra future in the second in. It's a bit of a lottery about what Hawthorn do. Even though they won it on points, I feel like just looking at it on paper, I feel like they lost it, if you know what I mean. I felt like they could be bold, and they're going to have to get creative here, because 12 and 26 isn't really the volume that you want in this draft, which means you're probably going to have to give Witherden another go Rotherham maybe will go. Berger will probably come in. And you've got to get creative in them state leagues and them delisted free agencies. It's going to be a real fascinating watch this space, because this is going to be one that time will tell if it was a bold answer. Obviously, they're loading up to make a push for Chad Warner next year. Does Chad Warner make them better? Just remember, the longer you stay rubbish, I always say there's always a risk. They've got a plethora of players out of contract next year as well. So I think next year is definitely the target in this one. But I'm quite disappointed in that. I feel like they could have gone a bit bolder. I really do. I really do think they could have gone a bit bolder. The Doggies up next with 5 list spots for them to worry about. 17, 25, 35 and 48. They've got Charlie Clark and Keith. They brought in some good players. Matt Kennedy, I think it's not a great replacement for McRae and Smith, but I will say this. He can go forward and kick goals. He is a very solid player. I am a big fan. Is he X-Factor talent like Bailey Smith? No, he's not. He's never been given the opportunity to show if he can be an extractor like Jack McRae, but you've got a good, honest footballer, the Swiss Army knife of footballers. I'm a big fan. They've improved their draft hand with 17 and 25, so they can be super creative there. In fairness, Bailey Smith wasn't a feature last year, and Daniel and McRae were played all over the place, so this could be a really intriguing one for me. They have slightly won the trade this year. It's going to be interesting what they do, because I feel like the Dogs have got to work now and fast with some list spots to do. But I've really enjoyed this trade period. I'm glad to see some new ones. Please stick with me. If you do enjoy the content, like and subscribe. We are going to really, really grind down. I've seen that you really enjoy these types of videos and learning about other clubs and stuff, and that is my passion. So I'm looking forward to really upping up the content in the draft. We've got loads of exciting things doing. Peace, love and light. I've really got to enjoy knowing you and speaking to you. Loads more to come. Let's try and hit 7,000 by the draft. That would be grouse. Palm out.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.